All right. In this film, we're going to illustrate the conflict in Colombia using Civilization 4. Now, this conflict started in the 50s. It started in the 50s when there was a very violent conflict there, and where the liberals and the conservatives, they ended this violent conflict with a settlement in which they forbade all opposition, and this was what started the conflict. Mainly, this conflict takes place around the bottom of the Andes Mountains. The area south of the Andes is where, in this area, is mainly the guerrilla that controls. Here is represented by these people here. These are FARC, which are the biggest guerrilla group. Also ELN also controls this area. They base their economy on growing and selling drugs, and the drugs, they are grown here in these plantations. The army run by the government, they're represented by these chaps here. And the capital is here. The United States, they also have a base, which is located here. That is for strategic reasons, because we didn't want to have to use so many turns to get it down here. Venezuela is also located here, and they also have a small role in this conflict, but we are going to get to that later.
In the early parts of this conflict, it mainly consisted of armed clashes inside the country, between the guerrilla and the army. These clashes often took place in the bottom of the Andes Mountains. When the guerrilla attacked, the army responded with the counterattack, and the opposite, where the army attacks and the guerrilla responds. And this is what makes this conflict very locked, because both parts just ends up attacking each other, and they don't get anywhere. The army doesn't have the opportunity to move very far into the jungle, and that is because of the difficult terrain, which is hard to fight in and easy for the FARC to hide in.
USA, they didn't like the fact that most of the drugs that was grown in Colombia ended up in the United States, and for that reason they wanted to destroy the plantations. The only way they could do this was by flying over and drop pesticides over the plantations. Now, this didn't really work, and they ended up destroying much more than just the drug plantations, and as a result many people had to move away because the area was completely inhospitable. Venezuela is also part of this conflict because the president, Hugo Chavez, he had conversations with FARC in 2007, and after that a cooperation with the president of Colombia at the time, Alvaro Uribe. Also, Venezuela is here representing the neighbors of Colombia, because as the conflict went on, Colombia's relationship to the countries around, deteriorated. Because the Colombian army often crossed the borders in search of after guerrilla groups. These relationships didn't get better until Juan Manuel Santos became president in 2010.